Okay, so you know that feeling when like you're so excited to learn something new,
Oh,
like
yeah.
finally being able to speak English comfortably, and then it's like poof,
Oh, yeah.
the motivation takes a hike. It's like gone.
Absolutely.
Everyone, I think, has been
You
there.
start with so much energy, you're excited, you're devouring all the lessons, and it
Mm.
feels like you're making huge progress.
Yeah,
And then the reality of learning, I think, kicks in.
yeah,
The progress slows down.
for sure.
And that initial excitement, I think we can all agree, it dims a bit.
Totally. And that's exactly where we're headed today. We're
Right.
not just gonna agree with each other about those motivational, like, those times when you just don't feel like it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We're actually gonna dig into why that motivation goes away. And so in this deep dive, what we're looking at is research on language learning motivation. We're gonna look at some experiences that people have shared in the English chat lab. And we're going to look at some techniques that you can use to keep yourself going, even when it feels like you're, pushing a boulder uphill.
Yeah, and what I think is really interesting is how common this experience is for everybody.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you think back to when you were first starting to learn English, you probably picked up some basic phrases.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you started to understand, simple conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt like you were, just making so much progress so quickly.
Right.
And they call that the honeymoon phase of learning.
I love that, the honeymoon phase. It's so true. It is like everything's new.
Yes.
It's exciting. You just feel like you're absorbing everything.
Yeah, you're like a sponge.
Yeah, exactly. But then it's like as you get further in, you reach this point that one of our sources calls the plateau valley.
Uh-huh.
And that's when progress, it's like walking through mud. All of a sudden, the grammar rules, they seem like they were made up by someone on another planet.
Right.
And trying to have a natural conversation in English feels as impossible as finding a unicorn.
Yeah, I think that's the turning point.
Yeah.
It's when that initial excitement kind of wears off
Yeah,
and the real work begins.
right.
And so we even heard from one of our listeners, Anna in Poland, and she was saying that after studying every day for 4 months, she felt like she was stuck.
Oh, wow.
She was understanding written English,
Mhm.
but conversations were just a totally different story.
Yeah.
And she was thinking about giving up completely.
It's so easy to feel like you're the only one going through that.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest takeaways from all of our sources is that these slumps, these like low points in motivation,
Uh-huh.
they're not a sign that you're failing.
Right.
It's actually a normal part of the process.
It is.
If you think about a little kid learning to walk, they took all those wobbly steps. They fall down a lot. But each one of those attempts is actually, helping them build strength and coordination.
That's right.
It's the same with learning a language.
And there's actually something called the learning dip.
Oh, tell me about that.
This is where you might feel like you're not improving at all,
Mm-hmm.
but actually your brain is working really hard behind the scenes.
Okay.
And it's organizing all of the new information that you've been learning.
Oh, so it's like it's all happening under the surface.
Right. It's happening. It's
Yeah.
just not obvious.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about when I was trying to learn French. I don't know if you've ever tried to learn French.
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay. So, that feeling I had for, I don't know, maybe 2 months, where I felt like I was just like treading water.
Yeah.
I was doing all the exercises. I was memorizing words, but it just wasn't clicking,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I remember that I was listening to the radio and I realized I could understand a whole conversation.
Wow.
It was like my brain finally like caught up. It's like it was processing everything in the background and then was finally like, okay, I got it.
That's great.
Have you had a moment like that with anything that you've learned?
Oh, yeah. A lot of times.
Yeah.
And that's what makes persistence so important.
Okay.
The learners who push through these plateaus, they keep showing up even when it's hard.
Yeah,
They're the ones who reach their goals.
that makes sense.
And it's not about being perfect every day.
Right.
It's about that consistent effort.
Uh-huh.
It's about not giving up even when you don't see the progress.
Right. So we know these like slumps and stuff are just a part of the game.
Yes.
But how do we actually get through them?
Right.
Like, how do we keep that motivation up?
Well, the science of motivation can tell us a lot.
Okay, I'm ready.
So motivation isn't just this random thing.
Uh-huh.
There's a real biological basis to it.
Okay.
There's this neurotransmitter in our brain called dopamine.
Dopamine, I've heard of that.
And you could think of dopamine as your brain's reward system. So whenever you take a step towards a goal, even a small step,
Yeah.
your brain releases a little bit of dopamine.
Oh, I like that.
And it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It reinforces that behavior and makes you more likely to repeat it.
So it's like your brain giving you a little high five.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how habits are formed.
Makes sense. But I think the hard thing with learning a language is that like fluency feels so far away.
Yes.
It's not like, I don't know, eating a piece of cake where you get the reward right away.
Right. You don't get that instant sugar rush.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so like our brains are kind of programmed for instant gratification.
Yeah.
So when it feels like learning a language is taking forever, it's really easy to lose motivation.
That's true. And that's when that dopamine isn't being released as much.
So is there a way to like hack into this dopamine reward system?
There is. And one really effective technique is called the 2-minute rule.
The 2-minute rule? I like the sound of that already.
It's really simple. You make the first step towards your goal so tiny and so easy that you don't feel any resistance to starting.
Okay.
You tell yourself, I'm just going to study for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Just open your textbook for 120 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Listen to one very short audio clip.
Yeah.
The biggest obstacle a lot of times is just getting started.
So true.
And once you take that first step,
Yeah.
you're much more likely to continue.
You know, it's funny you say that because I always remember, like, if there's a task I really don't want to do once I finally start it, it's never as bad as I thought it would be.
It never is.
Yeah.
And one of our sources, she talks about a polyglot named Clara.
Okay.
And she calls the first step her magic window.
I love that. The magic window.
Yeah. And we also heard from Diego.
Okay.
He's a polyglot and he's learning Japanese.
Cool.
And he had a big motivation slump for like 3 months.
Oh, no.
He could barely open his textbooks.
Wow.
And so what he decided to do was he committed to learning just one sentence a day.
One sentence.
One sentence.
That's it.
That's it. And some days, that one sentence was all he did.
Yeah.
But other days, that one sentence turned into an hour or more of studying.
So it was like a gateway.
Yeah. And within a year, he was having conversations in Japanese.
That's amazing.
It is. And what he realized was that he didn't need to wait for motivation to come.
Uh-huh.
He just needed to start, and the motivation would follow.
He had to create the conditions for the motivation.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And so he would do things like he'd put his Japanese notebook right next to his coffee maker.
That's so smart.
Yeah. So it was the first thing he saw in the morning.
I love that. So I guess what we're learning here is that motivation often follows action.
Yes.
You don't have to wait to feel motivated. You just have to start doing something.
Right. Even if it's just for a short amount of time.
Yeah. And then the motivation will kind of catch up to you.
It will.
Right.
And building on that idea of breaking down those mental barriers, there are some really interesting and unconventional ways to kind of boost your motivation.
Oh, tell me more.
So first up, we have the ugly notebook method.
The ugly notebook method.
So a lot of language learners, they buy these beautiful notebooks.
Yeah.
But then they're almost afraid to write in them.
They're too pretty.
They're too pretty. They don't want to mess them up. So the ugly notebook method is the opposite.
Okay.
You intentionally use a notebook in a messy, imperfect way.
Uh-huh.
Cross things out, make random notes, let it get worn out.
I like that permission to be messy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of our sources talks about Tomasa, and he decorated his ugly notebook with dinosaur stickers.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And on the first page, he wrote, "This notebook is allowed to suck."
I love that.
And guess what? His writing practice tripled
Wow.
because he removed that pressure of needing everything to be perfect.
Yeah, I think perfectionism is such a barrier for so many people.
It is.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm constantly like, oh, it has to be perfect. And then I end up doing nothing.
Right. And so then we have reverse progress bars.
Okay, reverse progress bars.
Yeah.
What's that?
So instead of counting up toward your goal.
You start with your target date.
Okay.
And then you track backwards.
So let's say I want to be, fluent by the end of the year.
Right.
Then I would put okay, 9 months left, 8 months left, 7 months left.
That's right. And it taps into that sense of urgency.
Okay.
And so it can be really motivating to see that deadline approaching.
It's like a visual reminder that time is ticking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then there's the power of accountability partners.
Accountability partners.
We heard from Maya in Brazil and Hiro in Japan,
Uh-huh.
and they connected online.
Okay.
And they made a commitment to send each other these short voice messages every day.
Like little audio diaries or something.
Yeah, and they would just talk about their day in English.
Okay.
And 6 months later, they both had job interviews in English, and they were both successful.
That's so cool. It's like having someone else to keep you on track.
Exactly. It's like having your own personal cheerleader.
I love that.
And then there's something called fake it till you feel it.
Fake it till you feel it.
Yeah. And so there's some research that shows that acting a certain way can actually change how you feel.
Really?
Yeah. So try this. Stand up straight,
Okay, I'm standing.
put a smile on your face,
I'm smiling.
and say out loud, "I am excited to learn English today."
I am excited to learn English today. It feels a little silly.
I know, but your brain will start to believe it.
Okay, so you're tricking your brain into being motivated.
Yeah, you are.
Oh.
And then finally, let's talk about environment design.
Environment design.
Okay.
So you can adjust your surroundings to help you focus.
Okay.
We heard from Nadia, and she realized she was always getting distracted by her phone.
Oh, yeah, class.
So she started putting her phone in a drawer in another room.
Oh, wow.
And she would leave her English textbook open on her kitchen table.
Uh-huh.
And that tripled her study time
Wow.
because she removed the temptation of her phone.
Yeah.
And her study materials were right there in front of her.
It's like you're making it easier to do the right thing.
Exactly. You're making it easier to study and harder to get distracted. I like that. So I guess what we're seeing here is that these small changes can make a big difference.
Yes, they can.
And it's all about making it easier to study and harder to get distracted.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about the psychology of motivation.
Yeah.
We've talked about some unconventional techniques.
Right.
And we've talked about the power of small wins.
Yes.
But let's be honest. There are days when every single thing feels like a huge effort.
Oh, yeah.
So what do we do on those days?
So I think on those days, we need to shift our thinking.
Okay.
We need to go from relying on willpower
Uh-huh.
to building systems and routines.
Systems over willpower.
Yes. Willpower is limited.
It is.
It can get depleted, especially when you're stressed or tired.
Right.
So that's when having a good routine is so important.
So tell me more about how we can build these systems.
So one really effective system is the never zero rule.
Never zero. Okay.
And it's very simple. You commit to doing at least one small thing related to English every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day. No matter how busy you are, no matter how tired you are.
So even if it's just like 5 minutes.
Even if it's just 1 minute.
Wow.
We heard from Sophie, and she's a nurse.
Okay.
She works long hours.
Yeah.
And so some days all she does is review a few flashcards before bed.
Uh-huh.
But she says that keeping that daily connection with English is really important.
I can see how that would make a difference. It's like you're not letting yourself completely fall off the wagon.
Right. And we also heard from Maria in Portugal.
Okay.
And she had this great hack.
Okay, what is it?
She studies in her workout clothes.
In her workout clothes.
Yeah. She says that changing into her workout clothes after
Yeah.
work is a signal to her brain that it's time to focus.
Oh, I see. So it's like a mental trick.
It is. It's like a trigger.
And so it doesn't even matter if she's actually working out.
Right. It just gets her in that mindset of, I'm ready to work.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think our sources talked about something called enclothed cognition.
Yes. And that's the idea that the clothes you wear can actually affect your thinking and your behavior.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So workout clothes are associated with being active and focused.
Makes sense.
And so when you put them on, it can help you feel more ready to study.
So it's like your clothes are sending a message to your brain?
Right. And some other listeners, they said they create a dedicated English space.
Oh, like a little English corner?
Yeah. A specific chair in their house
Uh-huh.
or a spot at the library
Okay.
that they only use for studying English.
And so just being in that space helps them focus.
Exactly. It's like a trigger for their brain.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're learning here is that there are all these little things we can do to set ourselves up for success.
Yes, there are.
And it's not about relying on willpower. It's about creating these systems and these routines.
Right.
And using our environment to help us.
Yeah.
So next time you're feeling unmotivated, ask yourself, what's the smallest, easiest thing I can do right now?
That's a great question.
And even if it's just like opening a book or reading one sentence, that's a step in the right direction.
It is. And, it's funny how these strategies for learning English, they apply to so many other areas of life.
They do. I think it's really about, learning how to be persistent.
Yeah.
And how to keep going even when things are hard.
And that's a skill you can use for anything.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about some of the other areas where these strategies have worked.
Okay, so we heard from Marco, and he used the micro goals approach to train for a marathon.
A marathon. Wow.
Yeah. So instead of focusing on running 26.2 miles, he just focused on running 1 minute longer each day.
So he broke it down into these tiny, manageable pieces.
Exactly. And eventually he ran a marathon.
That's amazing. And it shows you that, you don't have to do everything at once.
You don't.
You can just take small steps.
Right.
And, it makes me think about Priya's story. She started a bakery.
Yes.
And she used the never zero rule.
That's right.
And so every day, even if it was just testing one recipe or updating her Instagram,
right,
she did something.
She did. And it helped her build her business.
And I think it's really interesting how these techniques can also help people who are going through tough times.
They can.
Like Elena's story.
Yeah.
She got into a car accident and she used progress tracking to help her through physical therapy.
Wow. So she would track little milestones.
Right. Like being able to hold a cup.
Yeah.
And it gave her a sense of accomplishment.
And it helped her stay motivated.
It did. And so, all of these stories, they show us that everyone goes through this journey.
Right.
The excitement, the frustration, and then the breakthrough. And learning English, it's not just about the language. It's about learning how to be persistent and how to keep going.
And those are skills that you can use in any part of your life.
Absolutely.
It's so inspiring to hear all these stories.
It is.
And I think it's really helpful to see that other people have been through these same challenges.
Yeah. So can you tell us about some more success stories from our listeners?
Yeah. So we have Daniel from Vietnam, and he was really close to giving up, but then he decided to try the 5-minute rule.
Okay.
And he committed to studying for just 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And he completely turned things around.
Wow.
He recently gave a presentation at work in English.
Oh, that's great.
And he got a standing ovation.
That's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
And then we have Aisha in Morocco.
Okay.
And she loves K-dramas. So she made this rule that she could only watch an episode after studying English for 5 hours.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, she was using something she enjoyed to motivate her to study.
I love that. And it worked.
It did. And then we have Luca, and he had a really unique strategy.
Okay, what did he do?
He put what he called his failure resumes on his bathroom mirror.
Failure resumes.
Yeah, and they were lists of all the times he had made mistakes in English.
Oh, interesting.
And so every day he would see his progress. And it motivated him to keep going.
So instead of feeling bad about his mistake, he was using them as motivation.
Exactly. And he's now pursuing his dream of becoming a translator.
That's amazing. So I think what we're seeing here is that there's no one right way to stay motivated.
That's right.
It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly.
And experimenting until you find something that clicks.
Yeah. And to help you get started, we've put together a 7-day motivation challenge.
It's a 7-day challenge. Ooh, tell me more.
Okay, so it's all about taking small steps. So day 1 is the 2-minute miracle.
Okay.
You study for just 2 minutes.
Easy enough.
Day 2 is the environment hack.
Okay.
You move your study materials to a cozy spot. Day 3 is celebration day.
Celebration day. I like that.
You reward yourself for any effort.
Yeah.
Day 4 is ugly practice fun.
Ugly practice fun. Okay.
You do your worst impression of a native English speaker's accent.
That's fine.
Day 5 is the accountability boost.
Okay.
You ask a friend to check in with you about your progress.
I like that.
Day 6 is the progress audit. You make a list of 3 things you could do now that you couldn't do 3 months ago.
Oh, that's a good one.
And day 7 is design your system.
Okay.
You choose one habit to continue.
Love it. It's like a whole week of little experiments.
It is.
Yeah.
And to make it even more fun, we're encouraging everyone to join our No 0 Days challenge online.
No 0 days. I love that.
Yeah. So every day that you complete a task, you share your win online using the hashtag No 0 Days.
That's so cool. I love the community aspect of it.
Yeah, it's all about supporting each other.
And celebrating each other's successes.
Exactly.
Because, we're all in this together.
We are.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's recap the main points.
Yeah.
What are the key things that we want our listeners to remember?
So we've identified what we call the 3 motivation commandments.
The 3 motivation commandments. Okay, I'm ready.
Number 1, fluctuation is normal.
Fluctuation is normal.
Your motivation is going to go up and down. It's like the tides.
Right.
It's natural.
It's not a sign that you're failing.
It's not.
Okay. Good to know. Commandment number 2.
Tiny consistently beats perfect sporadically.
I love that tiny consistently beats perfect sporadically. Okay, tell me more.
So it's better to do a little bit every day than to try to do a lot once in a while and then burn out.
Right. It's like slow and steady wins the race.
It is. Remember Rosa.
Yeah, the 1 word a day.
Yeah, 1 word a day. And she learned over 300 words.
That's amazing.
Yeah, small actions add up.
Okay, what's commandment number 3?
Environment trumps willpower.
Environment trumps willpower.
Okay.
I'm intrigued.
So instead of relying on your willpower,
Yeah.
which can be really hard,
It is.
create a system.
Uh-huh.
Design your environment
Okay.
so that it's easier to study.
Right, like Maria and her workout clothes.
Exactly.
Or Nadia putting her phone away.
Right.
So make it easy to do the right thing.
Make it easy.
Okay, so those are the 3 motivation commandments. And our final call to action for everyone listening is this.
Uh-huh.
Before the sun comes up tomorrow,
Yeah.
pick one strategy from this episode
Uh-huh.
and commit to trying it out.
Yeah.
So it could be something as simple as leaving your notebook open.
Right.
Or setting a timer for 2 minutes of study.
Or texting a friend.
Yeah, just do something.
Just take that first step.
Yeah, because that first step is the hardest.
It is, but once you take it,
Yeah,
it gets easier.
it does. And remember, you're not alone in this.
Right.
We're all in this together.
We are.
Join the No 0 Days Challenge.
Yeah. Share your wins.
Support each other.
And remember, no matter what happened today, tomorrow's a fresh start.
It is so happy learning, everyone.
Happy learning.